Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Teatime podcast. Maximus over here. We got Michael and Sandra. Oh, hello.
Hello. Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Hello.
And today's tea that we're drinking is the Vanilla Tranquility.
Ooh, look at that. Look at that focus. Oh, sharp.
There we go.
There we go.
So sharp cut stuff on it.
Bought this at the local Persian market in Frisco. If y'all want to check it out over there, I think they have it in a lot more other places, but that's my key location that I get. But we'll let you know at the end of the podcast what we think of it and go from there. So this is our first of episode where we're gonna do more live events and topics. We've had our cast members and myself do some research on these topics as well. Hopefully we've had reputable sources at least. We might have used Reddit for some.
Twitter. Okay.
Foul.
Well, it's not the serious topics, it's just the other ones because I couldn't find pictures or references for one of them. But
New York Times. I use the New York Times a lot.
New York Times is fine. I mean, what was it in school when we used to do research? This was elementary school, I remember. I remember we went to the computer lab for it. They were like, this is how you look up to see what sources are in citations.
Yes, citation machine.
No, before that. We didn't have citation machine back then.
Oh.
It was like we used the library like thing.
You're that old? You went to the library?
Yeah, no, I know in college you had it too, but it was like a search library thing and you could find it through there, but it would tell you like, if you wanted to look up a source to see where it came from or how reputable it was.
Oh, no, those were scholastic libraries. You had to sign in because it was like full of like research journals and whatnot. So it wasn't just regular news outlets and whatnot. It was people who were publishing papers to different colleges and schools and highbrow folks.
Is that the name of it or you just... Is that the name of it or you're just saying that?
No, that's who they were. They were highbrow folks. They were fancy people.
Fancy.
Spent a lot of time on research.
Yeah. Well, we'll start with Sandra's topic that she wanted to talk about. If you want like to go ahead and start with like the whole
overview
of it, or I did a little bit too, but if you want, you can keep the helm and all.
Well, sure. Kind of the topic that I brought along was mainly the strike that's currently going on in New York City. There's about three main hospitals that are being affected during the strike. The big ones are Mount Sinai Hospital, Montefiore Medical Center, and then the New York Presbyterian Hospital, the main campus. About 15 nurses are currently on strike, and they've been on strike.
Wait, how many?
15,000.
Oh,
that's roughly.
15. I was like, what?
Oh, 15,000 nurses
you
on.
Heard 15 too, right?
I heard 15, yeah, but 15,000.
Only 15.
Oh man, that's a strike right there.
Yeah, no, there's about 15,000 nurses on strike, and they've entered week 4 at this point. I think they went on strike January 12th, I think. And
look at my sacred note. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, they went on strike January 12th. They've been on strike. This is week 4. There's no sight of negotiation, like a real negotiation for them.
So I'm gonna interrupt you a moment.
Yeah.
What are they striking for our viewers who do not know?
So when the nurses go on strike, because I guess they also went on strike back in 2023, early 2023. I think back then the biggest thing was pay. Just wanting to meet a better pay standard for, all the work that they're doing, especially after the light of COVID. This strike is mainly primarily about workplace violence. About 80% of nurses have reported that they experience some sort of workplace violence or aggression from patients and just employers in general, and safe patient ratios. For people who aren't in the healthcare field, and especially who aren't nurses, the typical nurse to patient ratio kind of depends on the area that you work in. But typically you would want a nurse that's on the floor to have 4 patients, ideally, to 1 nurse. That just creates a better patient safety ratio. Nurses are able to kind of provide better care, and can actually see the patients and continue that care as they go on through their 12-hour shift. Sounds like from what I was reading, some nurses have reported having up to 7 patients, which is pretty unsafe. And if you really think about it, like, I mean, these nurses, hour to hour, have so many tasks, so many orders that they need to carry out. On top of all of this, needing to provide an emotional care to these patients, and they're unable to do like any of that in a matter of safety. And so these nurses have decided to go on strike, and I fully support it. I mean, me personally, I think they do deserve some sort of compensation and better working conditions so that they can efficiently do their job. But I guess any questions from you guys? Like
So I know you told me the ratio for the floor nurses. Do you know the ICU nurses?
ICU nurses, it depends on acuity. Um, Typically, you would want one nurse to have a max of two patients.
Okay. I don't remember if it was 2 or 3.
Two, and even so, if when patients that are on multiple drips, on multiple, which is like different medications that are usually helping a patient's blood pressure, maintain a good blood pressure, heart
Like
rate.
plugged into their arms and stuff?
Yeah, so
Okay.
I mean,
Yeah, through an IV line.
if you find a picture of like what a typical ICU room looks like, it's all these IV pumps, and they have up to sometimes 7 drips going at the same time, all kind of help support patients like heart, major organs. Sometimes they're on ventilators, which is helping support them breathe. And those nurses should only be having one patient. Um, I feel like in a sense here in Texas, with all my nursing friends, I've heard stories of like how they're also being spread thin even within their own workplaces. So I can't even imagine what's going on in New York, what's going on there. And this is where I kind of pulled more information from like TikTok videos and just Instagram videos of like actual real life nurses, talking about their working conditions. And there's a couple of videos of nurses just talking about how in the ER, there are quite literally patients on beds and stretchers in hallways. Like they don't even have a room for these patients.
I mean, shit sounds like the hospital we worked at.
And that's the thing. It's just like, nurses are being expected to still see the patients that are, being like crammed into these small spaces. And it's just unfair to these nurses that they're being consistently being told to like meet certain standards. And with the workplace violence stuff, they're being gaslit to say, oh well, what could have you done to de-escalate the situation? Well, it's like we need help, we need resources. They obviously do need more resources, more security to kind of help them be able to more efficiently do their job.
So I'm gonna bring it a step back. Like the way I see it going through this conversation, we probably should hit subject by subject. So before we get into workplace violence, keep going on the ratios. From what I looked up, in a few states, California, Oregon, and Massachusetts, they do have mandates on what those ratios have to be, depending on what department the registered nurse is working
Right.
in, whether it's surgery, the ICU. And like you were saying, a lot of them were saying when it's in the ICU, it's usually a 1-to-2 ratio, one nurse to two patients, unless the patient's having complications, in which case it goes to a 1-to-1. And for medical surgery, many of those states were saying 1-to-5 ratios. New York, they don't have any state laws on what they have to be or any repercussions on if a hospital exceeds those ratios,
Mm-hmm.
but they do have it published in the health.gov what they plan for the ratios to be. In the New York hospitals that are on strike, they plan to have medical surgery ratios of, let's see, the Montefiore had a ratio of 1-to-6. It was higher than those other states' 1-to-5 state regulations.
I wonder when it says medical, does it, or like surgical, it says like surgical ICU or?
Well, typically a
I
medical
don't think it's
surgery.
ICU because they have a different category for ICU and they say it has to be 1-to-2.
Is that pre-op then?
No, so the different units typically in a hospital, medical surgical, typically patients that are, some of them are post-op patients, but they're a few days after post-op, and
But they're in-house.
they're stable patients for the most part. They're still receiving their day-to-day care as far as the patients that they're receiving. The medical patients are patients who come in who have like, for example, I guess like diabetic patient whose blood sugar is spiking up to the 300 to 400s, and they need to come in a surgical unit to kind of help control those symptoms and help like control their blood sugar again. So medical surgical sees a vast like variety of patients. It's anything that's medical or surgical, but they're not in a critical condition. There's a step up from that, which is a progressive care unit. Those patients are a little bit more needing a bit more care, more vigilance, but they're also not in a critical condition. Now, the ICU, that's where you have your critical that's the people that you're quite literally trying to keep alive.
Yeah. Mm. Yeah, when I was doing the research for the ratios parts of it, they said that well, for what state started it? There was one in particular that started that whole like ratio movement. I think it was just after COVID or even maybe before during. It was one of those times, but they decided that these are like what the ratios should be followed, and then a lot of the states kind of just piggyback off of it. But of course, I feel like the most populated states are going to have to change it up just a little bit to kind of meet their nurse to patient ratio. There's just too many people.
Yeah, no, I was seeing like only a few of the states have done it, not a lot of them have. So, like they were saying in New York, they're getting overstaffed, over ratioed. It's getting out of whack.
Yeah.
They're planning for ratios like 1-6, 1-5. One of them was even 1-3 or 1-4, but it sounds like it's exceeding expectations. So they're not calculating ahead of time properly how many people are going to be coming into these hospitals
yeah,
with
leave
issues.
it to hospital administrations to be just completely like, head in the clouds, just thinking like, oh yeah, no, like this is how it should be, and instead of like they've been on the floor for God knows how long, so they don't know what actually is going on down there.
What the reality is.
Yeah,
because it sounds like it's missing, and there's nothing to hold them accountable when they do miss.
Well, when I was looking at it too this morning, when I was taking a quick like preview of it as well, they said that it's not even money related issue like the CEOs are trying to claim now. They said that like each one of those hospitals made like in profit like past the millions. So it's like they can't even use that excuse of like, oh yeah, it's not like money related.
Oh no, it's insane. I looked at the Presbyterian. Billions.
Billion? Yeah.
Billions. 10 billion.
And that's the thing. From what I was reading and stuff, it sounds like these hospitals were much more prepared for this strike than the strike back in 2023. So that's why it's been going this long. They were prepped with their own like funding for certain situations like this. In these past 3 weeks, from the last article that I read, also from the New York Times, it said that they collectively between the three, they have spent over $100 million on just travel contracts.
Oh yeah, tell us about the travel contracts, because I know we talked about it
briefly.
Yeah.
So these travel contracts, travel nurses are contract nurses who come into lower staffed hospitals or needing some extra help. In this case, though, I have my own opinion. I would love to hear you. But during the strike, obviously these hospitals are facing a huge shortage of nurses.
Mm-hmm.
Bring in some contract nurses. These contracts range anywhere. When I first saw them, were ranging anywhere from $9,000 to $11,000
a week.
Yep. And so, and then there's still some other contracts that are on average about $6,000-7,000 a week as well. But I mean, to just to just like picture how much money they're spending a week for one nurse, and then now it's 4 weeks. It's approaching that 4-week mark. So they've collectively have spent about $100 million, which again, I get it. These travel nurses I'm sure they have loans that they want to pay off, houses. I'm sure they want to like take that opportunity to, hey, like, that's quite a lot of money. Let me go try to make a good bang for buck.
Yeah, scratch.
But these nurses are also being called scabs because they're crossing that picket line, and it's just, to me, it's unfair because it's allowing these hospitals to stay at the bargaining table for this long to try to see if they can wait out the nurses that are obviously striking. So these nurses that are striking at this point, a lot of them have lost their health insurance. Are having to sign up for health insurance through COBRA to kind of, carry on. And as they continue to stay and, in these like cold conditions, because I mean, it's super cold right now in New York and they're still striking. for better work conditions, better patient safety ratios. It's all a big picture, obviously, and I think the nurses should receive some more support from their fellow colleagues who are also going in to do these contracts. But that's, everybody has their own opinion on. I get it. I can see it from both sides, but I do think it's kind of just harming those nurses that are continuously striking better working conditions because they're living in New York. Obviously, they also want to pay off their house, like afford their rent.
Oh, yeah, New York is not cheap either. I mean, their apartment costs and everything are outrageous, so I can only imagine the financial stress they're putting themselves in.
Yeah, I was looking up those costs earlier as well for the compensation part of this conversation. Um, yeah, paying the traveling nurses it's $9,000 a week. Um, a large amount of money,
Yeah.
but apparently the hospitals have insurance regarding if staff were to strike or they were having to have a sudden decline in staff. So they're not paying out of pocket for all of it. Some of that is getting subsidized by whoever they're getting insurance through.
Right. I think I saw on average insurances are paying out about like 75% during these times. And I think the hospitals only have to pay the remaining 25%.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, if you really think about it, out of those $100 million, how much are they really? I don't know if that 100 million is what they've had to pay or if that's the total overall. But still, like, they're still at this bargaining table. And of course, like, I can only imagine being out of work for a month already,
Oh yeah, that's hard.
that's a lot of money that these nurses are without. And I've heard that some from the videos, again, from some of the personal videos that I've seen on TikTok, some of these nurses have gone to do like travel contracts with other neighboring hospitals to obviously supplement during this time and then go back to the picket line.
Mm.
But still, it's a hard situation because I do agree. I do think that they need to have some sort of mandated safe patient ratio, obviously address the workplace violence, address, their salary, their pay. But it is kind of harmful having these nurses come in and they're just helping prolong strike.
Yes, for their cause, it is, it does work against the nurses striking by the traveling nurses coming in. So it's partially an ethical matter. Are you going to help your fellow nurses in their time of need, or are you going to go in and make that money? Yeah, there's that. Also, there's still patients in there.
Yeah.
If no nurses do show up, then those patients are going to struggle. But that then comes up against the hospital. Are you going to give these nurses what they're asking for? Or are you going to let these patients because that's a two-way street. Nurses are on strike. Will the hospital give concessions? No. Like, all right, then these patients, some of them are going to die. So it'd be, all right, what are the nurses asking for? Is it worth those patients' lives?
And I appreciate that point too, because at the end of the day, like, the people that are suffering are the patients. Like, patients that aren't, the nurses that come in on travel contracts, they're not that familiar maybe with like that hospital's policies, how they do things. They're not familiar with their resources most of the time. Obviously they're coming in during these like potential crises and doing their best. But it's also hard on the patients because you have these very well-versed nurses that work in these hospitals that can't they can't even receive their own resources from their workplace, and now they're being stretched thin.
Mm-hmm.
And again, the people who suffer are the patients. So it's kind of it's a hard situation. And overall, I do think there's some key takeaways from this. I do think nurses deserve better workplace conditions, better safe patient ratios, and I can only hope that hopefully that they find some sort of a solution soon, because I'm week 4. It's been a full month almost that they're on strike. And it's hard on those nurses too. I'm pretty sure they're probably also thinking, we need to find a solution too.
Mm-hmm. So before we keep going, Max, well, what about you? What do you think about the traveling nurses coming in?
Well, I don't like the idea of it because when Sandra brought it up to me, I told her that I mean, it's bullshit because I get it, you yourself are traveling, so you trying to get that money and everything, but at the same time, like, you boil down to, like, what if you were in the same situation and you knew people were taking that job away from you just because of the money? Like, if you're struggling financially, I understand it because, yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you need to have money to live, but at the same time, like, if you're one of those travelers who they're like, "Oh, yeah, no, like, I could do another contract. I don't need to do this one." Like, I would prefer to people to do that. Like, this is one of those moments where, like, everyone needs to band together because the fact that people are going back and forth with it, saying, like, the hospital's in the right because they're trying to take care of the patients and the nurses in the wrong or vice versa, I was like, if the hospitals truly did care, they would have stopped the strike right off bat and then just gave in to the demands. Because 'cause they're reasonable demands too. It's not like they're asking for, like, something astronomical or something that's outside of the hospital's reach. It's just top executives really just caring about their money at the end of the day. Because the fact that they're willing to shell out this much to the traveler nurses, even though I understand it is most of it coming from insurance, is the fact is they still pay for that insurance in the end of the day.
Exactly, they're paying for that insurance in case something like this happened. They were ready and waiting.
Yeah, it just boils down to the top executives of the hospitals are like, "No, I'm gonna give you pennies and expect you to do this much work, and I'm gonna take 95% of profits from it." Like, it's absolute to me. Like, they should have said, "You know what? You're right. And go for it." I mean, but I've been an advocate for our hospital for a long time too. It's just no one's, people are still drinking the Kool-Aid over there too. It's just, yeah, no, I hate all these types of places that summarize profits over everything else. But that's going to tie into some other topics I want to talk about too. But yeah, no,
And actually, yeah, to kind of just, I guess, segue to the next topic. Um, the U.S. immigration customs. I personally didn't look too much into the numbers as far as like budget and how much money being budgeted towards healthcare and ICE.
but I segue. You don't segue.
Hold on, but it's just in a country where again I don't know the numbers. I'll be honest, but in from what I'm seeing, what's going on outside for a country to be able to afford so much money to have these, these ICE agents out on the streets, but we can't put that money towards our healthcare. And I don't know, it kind of just continue on from my point because I kind of lost.
Rant. Where's the bell?
Where's the bell?
I would say, do we want to transition or are we still on the nurses?
Yeah, we're still on the nurses.
Okay.
Okay, I'll backtrack.
So I was like, I know we talked about the ratios and how their finances could support it, but like the security part of it, I wanted to touch on too, because that's essentially what started the strike. Was there was several reports of, I think it was Mount Sinai was the hospital that had the active shooter.
Yes.
So there was an active shooter at the front of the hospital that left unanswered for a while, and I want to say another one of those hospitals had some similar incident to it, and that's kind of what sparked it. Was like either like a patient attacked a nurse. I didn't realize how often nurses get attacked by patients.
Well, yeah. So, from my own personal experience, I personally have only been a nurse for about 3 years, but I've been in the healthcare industry for about 7. I've worked the bedside as a patient care technician and
CT.
ECT for short, or certified nursing assistant, either or. I worked both titles.
Or
Um,
orderly if you're old.
um, from the standpoint of the violence that some of these nurses experience, some of these patients are confused. Some of these patients are, not fully mentally there. And sometimes some of those experiences are very aggressive. Some dementia patients are very, very strong. And, they're scared and they don't really know what's going on. And so that's one example of, the aggression that some nurses can experience. Now, the other side of that, too, is some nurses also experience a lot of sexual assault from their patients. I personally remember certain scenarios too where I remember hearing certain comments, certain grabs from male patients trying to be inappropriate with the staff. That's another example of some of the workplace violence. Finally, shootings, some of the more bigger threats, even here in Dallas. I think Methodist also had a shooting experienced not too long ago, I think last year. And so, the violence kind of it stands overall, but some of the videos that I've been seeing too, it just kind of boils down again to just patients being very aggressive towards their staff, and it's always the administration coming out and saying, "Well, what could you have done to de-escalate the situation?"
Or they blame anesthesia. They blame anesthesia,
Yeah,
especially coming out of surgery.
yeah, I was gonna say at that point, it comes down to if things like this are going to happen because those are the people who are coming in who do have dementia or coming out of anesthesia. That's a real possibility. You need to be prepared for that because it shouldn't be the nurse's job to protect themselves essentially from either gunmen or patients who are estranged and lashing out. They're there to treat illnesses, treat symptoms, assist in, these surgeries and operations, not restrain individuals and hold down the perimeter.
Yeah.
Because what you're talking about, the shooting in New York, that was
it gotta been the beginning of January, December, right?
November 13th at the Upper East Side Hospital. An armed gunman rushed into the ER. They were able to talk him down, and a security guard was able to escort him out. But then once he got out, he ended up getting in a confrontation with police, shot, went back to the same hospital after being shot, and then died while being treated. And then on December 12th, New York Mercy Hospital, security officer was beaten and required to be put on life support. And I believe he's still on life support. He was 63.
This got to be from one of the big ones. I remember specifically they said something about there was armed women that was at the front of the hospital. But that's the thing. It's like going into the hospital, or just going to a job. You're not thinking about oh, someone's going to come in here and start shooting it up or something like that. That's not the first thing that comes to your mind. So it's not fair for people to having to experience that in the first place. I'm not like a NRA or anything like that. I'm just saying when it comes to just workplace and safety and such. But I was gonna say, I mean, we can leave this part out, but yeah, no, because the only thing that the nurses asked for was either increasing their security force in the hospital, like more guards or police officers or something like that, and then metal detectors or something like that on entrances, which is not a crazy ask.
No, that's not us. That's making sure people aren't coming in with weapons. And if someone is coming in and they're belligerent or violent, there's someone there who can restrain them. Because right now it sounds like there's either no one or it's someone who's 63 years old. They're not stopping him. The guy who beat that dude was a regular guy. He wasn't buff. He wasn't huge. He was just a regular dude. Beat up this 63-year-old man who was supposed to be a guard. And I'm sorry he can't do it, but
Yeah.
they need to be putting up more money so it's not, oh yeah, this 63-year-old guy who has to work is taking this job. It needs to be, no, this guy in his prime who's, yes, I want to be security, is choosing to work at this job because you're making it available for him. So if someone does come in, it's like, no, he'll restrain him. I know he will. You go to a club, the bouncer, he'll restrain you.
Yeah.
Because I've seen a couple of the security guards at our hospital when they're doing their little rounds and everything like that. I'm like, they ain't protected.
Yeah, like if someone came in,
as soon as they hear gunfire, they're going to be hiding along with everybody else too, or they're going to be one of the ones that get shot first. I'm like, yeah, no, they ain't defending nobody. I mean, granted, since we are a big network, they do have police too, but it's just
well, the police are always involved no matter what.
Yeah.
Like hospitals, banks, schools, police have close ties so those organizations can reach out quickly and have police show up, but police aren't there patrolling those sites.
Or there's just not as many as you would think.
Yeah, they're not there to, solely defend that place. They're still a police officer. It is a high priority location, but they're not dedicated to this location. This is a one thing they do. That's why you need to have these security guards. You need to have these metal detectors. You need to have these checkpoints. I get something's happening in the ER, you rush the guy in, but there needs to be someone there for if he comes to and starts swinging, they can restrain him so that nurses, hospital staff can then properly triage and treat the individual. Triage. It shouldn't be on the nurse. Shouldn't be on Sandra to try and restrain someone who's belligerent, because anybody can end up in the hospital.
Yeah.
Can be little old lady, big old man. That shouldn't be her job to restrain him.
To this day, I lost a fight to this little old 75 something lady who had dementia. I still remember that night to this day, scratching. Like, I mean, she was going all out. I think it took 12 people to finally restrain her. She
How many
was
of those
fighting for
people?
her life.
How many of those 12 people were security?
None of them.
None of them.
No, I think the security. This was a long time ago. I remember. I think I was maybe, but I remember my job that night was to be what's called a sitter. Patients like this are, coming in these states and sitting with her, saw her kind of waking up, and I called the nurse. She just started swinging. She was restrained. She was had the arm restraints, and she was easily able to get out of them. And I think after that, the rest of the ICU staff came in to help out. And I think finally, when the physician came in, I think they finally injected her with something to kind of help calm her. Yeah, something to help calm her down. I don't remember what it was. Again, it was a long time ago. But I do remember it took like 12 of us to kind of
see. No, and I feel like that's something else that would impact ratios. Like if you are trying to do 1 nurse to 5 patient ratio, well, all of a sudden it's 1 patient to 12 nurse ratio. Yeah. It's like, all right, what about all these other people who they're not even supposed to be tending to this patient, but now they have to because they become belligerent. And like you said, that was an old lady. That wasn't even someone middle-aged.
Exactly.
I had an older guy caress my cheek when he was coming out of anesthesia. He just looked at me. He just rubbed his hand right across my face. I'm like, all right, thanks for that. Everyone just looked at me. He's like, do you know him? I'm like, no. Yeah, no, there's just like just half out, like just reaching over.
My boy.
Yeah. If I had long hair back in the day when I had it in high school, I'd have thought it was like, oh, Jesus, but no.
She'd be like, Pa?
To see the light behind me, and he's just like, oh, I'm leaving.
Oh man.
But yeah, no, if any of y'all look into just a quick of like the insurance cost for the nurses or just overall living standards?
So I did that. I got the numbers. I've got them crunched.
Because I had some, but I don't feel like they were as solid as a lead.
I've got those numbers from the US Bureau of Labor, baby.
I wanted to hear it just to be like, because they're getting paid like this much, but this is the cost of living, this is how much the interest are, just so you kind of get the financial side of it too.
So, careeronstop.org, they work with the U.S. Department of Labor to pull their statistics. The median annual salary for nurses in the state of New York is $105,000. That comes down to about $8,800 a month. If you look at the average, where's the average rent? I had that down. Uno momento. There we go. So the average rent in New York City for a 1-bedroom apartment ranges from $2,400 to $3,001 for a 1-bedroom.
And those 1-bedrooms aren't always the best.
I was about to say it's like 100 square feet.
I was about to say
80 square feet.
Some of those you look through, like, because that's the average. If you go to the very bottom, if you go to the bottom of the average, so around the $2,400-$2,500 mark, they're decent apartments. It's not what you're thinking of. If you go below that, then you start hitting like, there was one I saw for $500 a month. It was literally like a bedroom that was enough to fit a twin size bed. $500 a month. Crazy. But if you're looking at the state of New York, once you get to around the $2,500 mark, you start getting into decent apartments. It's like you've got a kitchen, you've got a bedroom, you've got a bathroom, you have a living room. It's okay. It's not huge, but it's all right for what you're expecting in New York. It's just a bunch of
people would live there.
People just love the city, man.
It's just an old city.
Yeah,
it is the city. Like there is a lot of business there. There's a lot of work there. There's a lot of trade there.
A lot of culture, a lot of different languages.
I mean, unless you're making like a good amount of money and you're living in a decent but I guess, I mean, you don't know what's out there unless you've been traveling and such. I mean, like when you said 2,500 for a one bedroom apartment, I'm like, that's the house.
Yes, that is this house we are in is 2,400.
That's why I'm like, that's crazy to me thinking like you're paying that much for a small one bedroom apartment. Sure, nice apartment. I'd have to see pictures, but still, like it doesn't incite excitement.
It's not nice like fancy nice like ooh this is bougie. It's like this. It's like the same style as this house. You just boil it down to a one bedroom. Like it's all right. It's not crappy. It's not the nicest. It's okay. It gets the job done. And like I said, that was for 2,500 a month. And the median salary for nurses in the state of New York is $8,800 a month. So that is less than 30% of their salary, which is the recommended amount to spend on housing. So they're covered for housing at where they're at right now. And looking at the median salary for just everybody in the state of New York, the median salary is $82,000 a year or $6,800 a month. So nurses are making more than the average Joe. Could they make more? I think so, because when I looked at the New York Presbyterian, where their funding was going, the C-suite, the fancy people, executives, the president, the chief whatever officer, all of their wages combined was adding up to 91 million. And that was about 100 paid officials. The cost for nurse staffing was 99 million. And looking up through projects.propublica.org, because it's a nonprofit hospital, there's about 11,000 nurses. So about 11,000 nurses make more combined than 100 of the C-suite members there. So they could give up a little and help, these nurses make more money, as well as be able to cover the insurance requests that they're making.
Yeah, I mean, it just boils down to how greedy people are in the end of the day. It's money in the end.
It is, because it's a lot of money those 100 people are making. Like most of them on there were making over $1 million annually, with the head honcho making 23 million. And that's before bonuses and whatnot.
Never seen a bonus a day in my life.
Well,
bonuses are pretty sweet. I ain't gonna lie.
They need to. I hope for the nurses that they do don't settle for anything small, and they really outline like in the future that they want better pay raises, because this whole 3%, 5% is like ridiculous to me still, that they're still practicing that.
That was in the contract that they wanted, that they proposed and was marked down, was over the next 3 years to receive, it was, I believe, a 6% raise every year.
Oh, I think it was 6% for the second and then 3 the third. It was a margin.
Okay, I thought it was 6, 6, and 6.
I think I wrote that one
What?
down, but I think, well, this was from what came out of their strike back in 3, which I think they only striked for 3 days. I think it was like the first year it was like 6%, the second year 5.
So yeah, no, the C-suite's making about as much as the nursing staff does combined. 100 C-suite people versus about 11,000 registered nurses. They could stand to take a cut so they can get these nurses a bump in pay and the insurance benefits they're looking for. Because it was my understanding that they were looking to pull back on the nurses' insurance benefits. And I don't think that makes sense when you have people working in a hospital where illnesses will be coming in, like they're more exposed than the average person to becoming sick, and you're not going to give them the benefits to supplement that style of work. That sounds a little ridiculous. I don't think insurance benefits should be contested.
And that's also a valid point too, because to provide the healthcare workers with an insurance that they can, effectively use to, treat themselves too, like, be able to, treat themselves whenever they do catch, because it's not like if they do, it's when they do, catch an illness from taking care of these patients in close contact. But also, some of these patients are also, I mean, there's like, for example, there's a thing that at least here in the state of Texas, they're required to turn their patients every 2 hours to ensure that there's not like pressure ulcer when they're in bed. And some
Okay.
of these patients, aren't, I mean, sometimes a nurse is smaller than their patient. And, that physical exertion too, these nurses be able to afford, their own care so they can, effectively work in these patients too. I mean, they're to take care of these pretty big sized patients. And that's a really good like point to make because, they're to cut their health insurance. That's just not fair.
It's crazy for the line of work. You can have regular health insurance at any old job because if someone gets sick, it's no, go home. You have sick days. Don't show up. But if you're a nurse, you go into work and it's like, oh, look, there's that guy who's sick. And I'm going to have to be in contact with him as he's sitting here struggling, coughing, and dying. Like, come on. This is some hard work.
It's not a
This
career
sounds crazy.
It's not a career you fall into. You pick specifically towards. I mean, the amount of schooling and training that you go through, it's like it's a very specific thing that you're going for. It's not just something you fell into by accident. This would be my segue point for the next topic, because it's not just like the pay that they're receiving, yes, is livable, but that's not the point anymore. It's like it should be like back in the day, like, oh yeah, no, if I worked a minimum wage job, I could pay for my college kind of situation. Like everything is increasing. Like the fact that they're doing market adjustments, it means that they just brought you back to what the minimum is over there. Like they're not bringing you above that minimum; they're taking you right back at the minimum, and then they start going back to that 3 or 5% increase.
Oh yeah, if you get a market adjustment, sure.
It means you're just being underpaid the whole time.
Yeah. So that's why you should switch your jobs around. You got to move every now and again.
But it shouldn't be like that.
It shouldn't be. But because of that's how it is, that's why you got to pack it up and leave sometimes. You've been there for a year or two. You're not seeing any growth. You've been there for a couple of years. I only get cent raises. I'm not getting a lot. They're not even giving me the 3% to match inflation. You got to pack it up and go because they're taking advantage of you and they'll continue to do it until you leave. Because somewhere else who has the opening, they say, no, here's what this job is actually worth. Like, this is what we have to pay people. And if you're not getting paid that, yeah, your place is screwing you over. You need to pack up and leave. And to be honest, I don't think you can negotiate with the place you work at because if you go up to them and say, hey, they're paying more for the same job, why aren't I getting paid that? Then they're going to think, well, he's looking for a job and they're going to start looking for your replacement.
Or just gaslight you and say you're getting paid enough.
Or gaslight you. Don't be a chump. You got to shuffle around. Which doesn't mean just quit and then say, yeah, I'll find something else. Like, no, find something else, put in your 2 weeks and bounce. Because they're not going to do it for you.
Yeah. Anyways, to the next topic that I want to talk about. This one's going to be, I want to do a lot shorter since we spoke up 40 minutes into the nurses thing.
The nurse was a good topic. Yeah. I'm not going to lie, because you mentioned it the last few episodes, and I was like, oh, yeah,
I didn't know
that's
anything
a thing.
about it until we started looking into it.
Yeah, and then once I looked into it, I was like, oh, this is actually interesting. Like, there's not a lot of news outlets covering it either. Like, a lot of it is stuff on TikTok or smaller news coverage people.
TikTok?
Yeah, I almost said, up on TikTok. Yeah.
Well, it's just, I mean, honestly, since I started this channel and making those little video compilations, like, I don't have to reach far to get material now. It's like from that moment till now, it's just like, there's just so much saturation of news that's coming in that I'm like, yeah, no, you could just basically pick something and be like, oh yeah, this is something worth talking about.
Yeah, no, there's a lot going on. The information's always readily available. There's so many people covering things. They want to share their opinions, and it's a turbulent time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, ever since I was in college for nursing, I remember doing some research paperwork on nursing ratios. Like, this is not anything new. Like, when I was in nursing school, one of the things that I really wanted to fall into was women's healthcare and just like women's care in general. And so a lot of my research at the time was more geared towards like nurses working in like maternity wards, like labor and delivery, postpartum, and that stuff like that. And those areas too are also sometimes the ratios just don't match. Sometimes the patients that they receive are also pretty, have other comorbidities that make them a higher acuity patient, and sometimes that's not taken into consideration by the administration. And so when back in college, I remember also writing a lot of research paperwork in relation to those topics. this whole like patient ratio safety numbers, like it's not anything new. So that's why I'm glad that the New York nurses are speaking up for these things because, like you mentioned, there's other states where there's some sort of mandate, and I
There's repercussions if you don't follow these ratios.
and yeah, and I think that's because at the end of the day, you want to protect your license, you want to protect the patients, you want to make sure you prevent any sort of what's called a sentinel event where there's harm to the patient because when you stretch the nurses thin, mistakes can happen.
And it's not the hospital that takes the fault, it's the nurse. Or they start going up the line of staff members until they find someone that they're like, oh, it's your fault.
Yeah, and it's like, and it's also, something that weighs so heavy on the nurses because it's like you don't want patients. That's not why you're in this field. You want to take care of your patients. You want to be able to come into work energized to like take care of these people and make sure that they leave. They're not just well taken care of, but they're also educated so that they don't have to, the other thing too, when you stretch your nurses so thin, things get missed. Patients aren't as educated or, aren't as well prepared before they discharge. Just that turnover so that the patients, get out of to the next area.
Yeah, open up the bed, open up your slot so you can take a new patient. No, it's a problem for regular people too, because you don't want to be in the hospital and the nurse you have also has, 7, 8 other people. And it's like, whoa, what? And it's like the standard in some of these other states is 5, some of them coming down to 4. Like if you want good care, this is what you're gonna have to do.
Moving on to the next topic. This one wasn't actually part of the homework, but I mean, it's not that. This is just more like opinion based. But we'll tie into some stuff too. So tomorrow's the Super Bowl.
Super Bowl.
No, it's the Benito Bowl.
I mean, yeah, thank you for bringing that up. So, Michael, I told you this yesterday. What do y'all think of the Turning Point USA having their own separate halftime show with Kid Rock and 3 other people that I don't know their names?
What? Like, I did not know any of this.
So I'll explain it to you. This isn't like background with a lot of information because like I was just listening to it on like YouTube and other social platforms. But essentially, Turning Point USA, from when the announcement came out that Bad Bunny was going to be the star of the halftime show, they're like, it's un-American. He's not even American. He's Mexican. He's not Mexican. He's Puerto Rican. Yeah, exactly. But that's what the sane people are arguing, saying like, what do you mean? They're like, oh, well, he's not going to have any English speaking songs, which I mean, like I only met Bad Bunny through you. I mean, I don't personally like his music either, but I'm not going to be like, oh, I'm watching the Turning Point USA.
You don't understand the lyrics, man.
I just don't like that type of music. It's just not my type of music. And there's nothing wrong about it, but I'm not going to go and open up a whole other halftime show with some nonsense out of racism.
Yeah, isn't he one of the top, most listened to artists in the United States?
He just
won the world.
He just won the Grammy. He won the Spotify award thing for having the most like listened to viewership since I don't know the year, I guess, because I know he beat Taylor Swift and somebody else.
Yeah, so it's like this is the most popular artist. They're going to be in the Super Bowl. You only have the popular artists in the Super Bowl, so people tune in to watch it who wouldn't watch sports. That's the whole point.
If you didn't know this, he is actually going on a world tour this year for his most recent album. Not coming at all to the United States. The only appearance that he's making in the United States is at the Super Bowl this year. That's his only performance here. The thing else for his tour is every other country.
Oh, good. I mean, not like good, like he's not coming. It's just good because like this place, honestly, like the way that they're acting and operating, I'm like, nah, they don't need him.
I was gonna say, yeah, that's like I said, saying I don't like this. I'm gonna have my own, and it's like, I'm sorry, Kid Rock's not it anymore. I don't know who else you wanted, but like,
who is this man?
This Bad Bunny is just the most popular right now. That is what it is.
And that's Cowboy, and that was in Shanghai Noon. That's the only Kid Rock song I know.
Like, I'm not a Kid Rock hater. He's got some songs, like, turn on some, some honky tonk country rock stuff, kind of in the middle. Like, I'll be like, yeah, Kid Rock.
Did I tell you
but
about?
I'm not gonna be like, I don't like Bad Bunny. I'm in my own Super Bowl, and it's gonna have Americans and white people, and they're gonna play country music. It's like, dude, the Super Bowl 20 years ago had some country folks in there because that's what was bumping at the time.
Mhm.
I'm pretty sure Zach Brown Band was in there in the 10s maybe, but it's like, yeah, that was popular at the time. It's not right now. That's just the age, dude.
So
That
the
is what
meme
it
where
is.
it's like it's gonna be like the smell of Budweiser, and then everyone's ticket information is gonna get transferred to their ankle monitors when they're going to the show.
Well, that's the crazy part too, though. He's Puerto Rican, like his territory, man.
It's just uneducated people. That's what boils it down to. That's what most Trump supporters are. Uneducated people. Like they're like, oh, he's not American. Like that's a U.S. territory.
I don't even care.
Yeah, like
because it's what was popular in the US. That is what it was. If it was for whatever reason, classical Chinese music came in like, oh, bro, 2027, I love classical Chinese. And it's like, not even like that. They're like, bro, that's banging. Crank it. And that's hitting the charts. And they say Super Bowl 2028, we're pulling in the classical Chinese. I'll be like, hey, man, that's what was on the billboards. That's what people are listening to. I might not like it, but that's what America likes, so that's what they're playing.
I do see the argument to a very small extent because the point of it is the viewership of the people that do watch the Super Bowl. But at the same time, you have to think about it. It's not regular season games. Super Bowl, like it's not just regular football fans or diehard football fans. Everybody's watching it.
Well, I mean, exactly.
So like everybody, like when we were in school, a lot of the people like, oh, I don't care about football. I just come to watch the Super Bowl commercials and the halftime show.
Yeah.
So the fact that those people are bringing in a lot of viewership to the NFL network, of course they're going to stick with the top artists. Like the hell with the whole rhetoric that they're passing in this administration.
I mean, Lady Gaga did it.
Yeah.
And that's definitely not like Kid Rock.
They haven't had a band in like since because I'm an 80s person. Like I like the 80s music and stuff. So like anyone they've had in the Super Bowl for like the halftime show, like I've never been
since like the 80s.
Yeah. So I've never been interested in any of the halftime shows for a long time, but I'm not a hater and be like, oh man, this is trash. They need to put this person on. Like, I understand times have changed.
Well, you can say it's trash. I don't mind if you come out here and say, man, I hate Bad Bunny. I don't like his music. Okay, cool. But if you're like, I need my own Super Bowl halftime show and it's going to have my music and we're going to like it. And it's like, stop it.
Again, like going back just to the music, people just don't understand the vibe. I get it. Some people tell me it's the voice, but if you really just listen to the lyrics, man, there's the fun. The way he tells the girls to twerk,
I don't know. Don't listen to it. Haven't heard it. Haven't been interested. I'm just like, it is what it is.
Well, I mean, I'm excited. I'm excited not just for Bad Bunny performing, but also Green Day. Green Day's I think they're doing the intro to it too. And then I think Charlie Puth is doing the national anthem. Very excited for the Super Bowl.
Green Day's very bold.
Green Day is a very statement. I am excited to see what they say.
So the funny thing is, this is how I heard about this whole situation in the first place. So a lot of the people that are like fighting for Bad Bunny to be in the Super Bowl halftime show on the whole Turning Point USA thing, they pulled out some old lyrics from Kid Rock, one of his songs.
Yeah.
And it said, young ladies, I like him underage, see. Some say statutory, but I say it's mandatory.
What's the song? What's the track?
What's the track?
Yeah.
Let me see if it tells me what song it came from. On my cell phone, paid my G, and he can't call. I don't know if that's the name of the song. Oh, Cool Daddy Cool.
Cool Daddy
Released
Cool.
in 2001. Yeah, no,
that's crazy.
It's the Trump supporters.
5 years ago.
Well, I mean, the funny thing is that completely supports this whole administration anyway, just protecting pedophiles. So the fact that they're going to play that for the whole Turning Point USA, I mean, it's the bill.
No, bro. That was in the movie Osmosis Jones. No.
Kids. So no, that's not considered a kids movie, is it?
That's a kids movie, dude.
There was a lot of adult themes in the movie, though.
Yeah, but like they did a spin-off TV show, and that was on like
Michael,
Saturday morning cartoons.
Talking about pedophilic stuff on a cartoon, that kind of fits our administration.
Speaking of administration.
Oh yeah, so next thing I wanted to talk about since you brought the Super Bowl. Oh yeah, by the way, who do y'all want to win?
Seahawks.
Seahawks, Michael?
Cowboys, man.
Tell me the truth.
We boys.
Who do I want to win? I'd probably have to say the Patriots. I got the folks. I got some friends who like them. I'm like, you know what? Anyone can do it. Seahawks? I mean, they're cool. but they don't have Marshawn Lynch anymore, so they're not that cool. As a matter of fact, wasn't it the Seahawks versus the Patriots a couple of years ago, and they didn't have Marshawn Lynch run the ball and they threw the game?
That's their redemption arc. They're gonna win this one and take it home.
I couldn't imagine if they lost in a similar fashion. But I don't know. Do they have a star player like that? He was like, oh, bro, this is the guy.
Running back? Not really.
Not even a running back, just a player on the Seahawks. Like, this is the guy.
I
He's like, Marshawn Lynch, he was that guy. It's like, bro, this is Marshawn Lynch. He'll run that ball anywhere, every time.
he
He's him.
was the start MVP for that season. I don't know much about the Seahawks this season. I haven't paid attention to their games overall. I just know Sam Darnold is like the big, because he's the head QB and everything like that. But like, because I mean, when he was in Minnesota, he didn't do anything. So like the fact that he transferred over and went to the Seahawks and now they're like at the Super Bowl is crazy. So like it's kind of like his redemption arc. But yeah, no, I mean, I don't think there's a star player over there. They'd be like, oh yeah, they're the one that's gonna carry the team on their back besides Sam Darnold.
Okay, so
That's just from my general knowledge of the Seahawks. But
Gotcha.
I'm just a Patriots hater fan. Like
I know a lot of people are.
I started seeing like everywhere on the news and people just talking about saying, oh yeah, there's our new dynasty. I'm like, it better not happen. I'm gonna be pressed until the next football season.
Would be insane.
But overall, we're excited to watch it tomorrow. Just
Yeah.
the game, the shows, the news.
I'm gonna make a compilation video for this one because I had an idea in the making while I was early this morning. I was driving around. But yeah, no, I'm gonna laugh so hard when I see the viewership for the Super Bowl halftime show and the Turning Point USA halftime show. I know it's gonna be a drastic like number difference, and it's gonna make me laugh. I'm sure it's gonna be a terrible show for the Turning Point USA people. Like,
I mean, so that Turning Point USA thing. So is that like
that's Charlie Kirk's company that he formed. It was a nonprofit. You can tell me or ask me what it was because I have no idea.
Well, no. So that performance that's happening, it's going to happen at the same time during the halftime.
Yes.
On a separate channel.
I do not know how you would access it. I'm assuming so. Like they'll say, like, for all the people that want to watch it, tune in on channel whatever, or it'll be a subscription based thing. I don't know.
See, the crazy thing is, like, you know, because I remember Kendrick Lamar performing last year's halftime show.
That's banger.
Turn the TV off.
Bro, called Drake a pedophile in front of all those people. My God.
It was the start.
Yeah, it was the end. Put that man in the dirt. It's over.
I mean, like, it started just like, you know, people just calling people pedophiles.
No, that's been going on, though.
It was the end to Drake. Start of, like, I think.
No, that's been happening for years, man.
Epstein files, man.
Yeah, for years.
Actually, so that's the next thing I wanted to talk about after the Super Bowl. So I know we talked about it yesterday because I was trying to follow up on you if you were going on it like on your own. Michael, have you looked at it at all, or just the ones that I've been sending you?
Just the ones you've sent. Like, it's too many files. I'm not scrolling through them all. I know there's people who are scrolling through them. Once they find something that's substantial, like they're like, oh, yes, I saw, you know, these emails came through. And this person said to Jeffrey Epstein where the kid's at. Then it's like, get that dude. It's over.
Yeah, they have.
And problem is, I haven't seen anything like that. With like, yeah, man, it's you go to this document, you go to this page, it's right there, dude. Here's where he said it. And it's like, oh my gosh, did you know this guy's name was in there and this person's name was in there? And it's like, what happened? What they say in there? And it's like, it's just in there. It's like,
well, I mean, Michael, you have to think about it too, though. It's emails and text messages and like conversations, so no one's going to outright say it like blatantly, like in a movie.
Oh yeah, but it's about like anything. There's a lot of stuff.
There's a lot of code talk.
So one particular one that I heard previously was pizza, like cheese pizza and all that, child porn, or like I think pizza for the code word, and that one was like boys, right?
Little boys.
Yeah. Because it would say, oh, I got pizza 13, 14, you know.
So then it's like, all right, so provide the document. And it's like, oh my gosh, look at that.
So I personally haven't gotten there yet. I was telling Sandra yesterday, I started from the very beginning because a lot of people were posting that they saw this, they saw that, but no one was providing like the PDF file or like the number or anything like that. So it kind of made me frustrated. And we had a conversation about it too, where you're like, "Nah, man, I need to see it for myself." So I was like, you know what? I'm thinking the same mindset now. So I was like, I want to see it for myself. So I started from the very beginning. The first 2 folders, I couldn't tell you how much were in there though, but it took me about 3 or 4 days to get through it. But yeah, the first 2 folders are essentially just pictures of his apartment in New York, and the second folder is mainly his pictures of his island. But there's nothing wrong with having certain stuff there. We're all adults, but like it was in the manner that how much of it he had that was
Kind of like baby oil.
Well,
Like you can have baby oil, but that's a lot of
there is
baby
one
oil.
room in particular that was his massage room. The amount of lube in there is insane. Like I looked at it and I was like, I can't believe they had to catalog how much was in there. But then on the island, or even in the New York apartment, so there was paintings and pictures kind of littered throughout the apartment, like in stairwells and stuff. And I didn't think anything of it. It wasn't until I got to the third folder when they started cataloging it from the FBI that I realized that these pictures, the reason why they were redacted was because they were the actual victims.
Yeah.
And they were like commissioned paintings of them. Like, there's like one of them was just like a couple of girls like on a tube. And I'm like, why'd they redact that? Like, I was like, oh, it might be just people that they know. But then I realized the longer I looked, I was like, oh no, they're naked. And I was like, when I got to the third folder, like, oh yeah, this is the reason why. And they started naming off the things. And I was like,
yeah. Like, I'm not going to say Jeffrey Epstein wasn't criminal and a freak, like, absolutely bad person. But when people are making claims against others and they're like, oh no, this person was in there and they did this and that and this and said this. And it's like, all right, what you telling me right now? You're telling me, yeah, man, I've got a cheese pizza, 13. I've also got a pepperoni pizza, 14. Come on over. It's like, okay, yeah, you're obviously talking about kids. That's weird. But when people say, oh yeah, no, you won't believe it, I saw this person in there. And it's like, oh man, what page? What was the document? Oh, I don't have that. So you're making
yeah.
Because there's a lot of people nowadays on the internet who will go around and they'll just make something up about somebody.
Yeah.
Like they'll say, you're a pedophile. That girl's 17. And then someone else looks at it and says, no, in that picture, that girl's 23.
Yeah,
like that.
There's some clowns
They didn't
that
even do anything.
They made some like AI generated ones saying like Zoran Mamdani's like mom was part of the Epstein files, and I'm trying to think who else. There was someone else that they were like saying that they were on the Epstein files, and it was just it was the what's that artist's name that lives in Texas? He does the Raising Cane's thing.
Post Malone.
Post Malone. Yeah, he was Post Malone and Dan Bilzerian. Like there was a picture with like the girls that were like they put the little like redaction squares on saying like, oh yeah, he was part of the Epstein files. And someone's like, no, it's just this.
And that's the so like disappointing thing of like the people that are making like, come on, dude, like there's a very serious issue going on, and
yeah, no, that's not. There's no time for jokes about it, especially like how severe this whole thing is, and people passing around misinformation is just like terrible.
It's misinformation. It's misleading. It's going to pull attention away from it because everyone thinks people are just looking around, and it's like, yeah, like if it's in there, it needs to be provided. You need to say, here's what it is. Here's their involvement. Here's where it is in the files. Like, yeah, no. That really happened. The FBI went, they checked Epstein's laptop. You see him corresponding with this individual about inappropriate relations with minors. Get this person. But people are just saying, and it's like, oh, well, where? I just saw it.
Yeah.
Where? It's like,
I saw it on TikTok.
No, I just saw it on TikTok. It's like, did the TikTok have a source? No. And it's like, it's like they're running people around. I almost want to say, put on my tinfoil hat, say, nah, man, it's a government op conspiracy. They're paying these people to come out here and mislead the public so they become disinterested. And then they won't look into it. And then it all goes under the rug.
Well, I don't want to, it's like that.
That's far out there.
It's like that Todd Blanche said a couple of days ago, I think, or where he was like, it's not a crime to be affiliated with Jeffrey Epstein. I'm like, are you me?
So, like I'm saying, that because when we had this conversation the other day, you were like, Bill Gates was in there. And I was like, what was he doing? And it's like, yeah, Epstein was asking Bill Gates if he knew a doctor to get antibiotics from. And I'm like, oh, that's not a crime. Like, I wouldn't go after Bill Gates if that was true.
What I followed up with him is because he was inquiring about the Russian girl that he was with the night before if she was tested.
I was going to say you didn't follow up with that. You just said it was
Oh.
that. And I was like, that's not a crime. You're like, hey, man, I need some antibiotics. I think I might have caught something.
Yeah, if you got nothing to hide, just go to a regular doctor then.
It's like, okay, man. True.
I mean, one, HIPAA, so they can't tell the information to a wife or something like that. So you can just go to a general doctor and be like, hey man, I just need pills for gonorrhea.
Yeah.
So like, why hide it? Why contact someone else third party?
Sure. I don't know.
Exactly.
But how are you can't go after Bill Gates for that if that was the extent of it.
Well, yeah,
because that'd be like if I did something and then went to you and was like, Max, I need a good doctor, and you're like, oh, I recommend this guy. I'm like, thanks, man. And then they're like, we found out later that Michael committed various crimes and communicated to Max about it. We're sending Max to prison too.
Yep.
You'd be like, what? I just told him a doctor. Like, straight to jail.
Well, so
like, come on.
So I got to folder 3 right now, and that's when I called you yesterday, just because I was dumbfounded by this one document. Like, I'm not gonna go into detail about it though, but now I'm starting to see what they're talking about. Like, now I'm just like, oh, shit. Like it's actually starting to get serious. Like after all the pictures and everything, it's like talking about. So this was a couple of interviews from some of the survivors, and they were kind of explaining how they met Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm like,
yeah,
should link it in the description.
Oh yeah, no, like I've been taking notes on which files. Like I've been like, oh, this is like something interesting that I might want to like make a compilation video out of or something like that. Because like you were the one that actually solidified that for me, because I was one of the ones where I was like, oh, I'm just gonna let it go. But then the more I thought about it, I'm like, you know what? Like if it is readily available to the public, why not look through it? And at first I was kind of thrown off by how many documents there was, because they said there was about 3 million that they released. And I'm like, how are you supposed to surf through this? And they made it kind of difficult to navigate. Like they didn't make it to where you click one link and you can just keep going from one. No, you have to back out, go to another link, back out. Like you have to keep going back and forth between them.
Yep.
And some of the file or pictures are duplicated. So it's like, do you really want to go through all this? I feel like they did that on purpose too.
Yeah.
Well, unfortunately too, I think
dissuade you from continue looking.
Yeah.
I was reading an article. They did the New York Times. I'm just a big fan of the Times. But they were also kind of like sifting through each file, and according to this article that I was reading, when they were first released, there was a good amount, about 30-40 pictures that weren't fully censored. So the victims' faces were still on there. You could see what the picture was. These things were being reported back to the U.S. Department of Justice, like, hey. And apparently, too, like whatever software they were using to, cover the, and like, the victims' faces and, the inappropriateness of the picture itself. Apparently, the software that they were using, people were downloading pictures and were able to remove filter. I think too. I'm just like, really?
What? Yeah, that one is true, because I know a couple of news outlets saying that if you're going through the files and you find anything, this is the number to call to the DOJ so they can fix the redactions.
It's so upsetting because
insane.
These poor victims too. It's so upsetting because the justice. I'm like, I don't know. It's so upsetting, everything that's going on for people too that I've seen. Just scrolling on like Twitter, just in general, like people are asking AI to remove those. Why? Why do we need to do that? Like, why? What? Like, I get it. There's curiosity to like full picture, but why? Like,
I hope
what's
the
that gonna
FBI is keeping
change?
track of these people and be like, you know what, pedophile.
I was about to say, yeah, like that stuff. That's because I've seen something about that too, where they built the AI into Twitter, and people are going on to Twitter and they're saying, AI, take this girl's profile picture, take her clothes off. It's like, what? It's like, what are we doing? Like, just out on the net, man. It's on a public forum. That's all these people around. It's a crazy thing to do.
We're definitely living in biblical times where like everyone's just sinful.
Yeah.
Sad.
Some of these people just degenerates. It's like
this world is so cruel towards children.
Well, that's what I want. I mean, I told you all this. I mean, I don't know about the people that view it, but the reason why I wanted to start this podcast was like, one, talk about topics, spread information, but then also it's like the it's just littered with bullshit. Like people on podcasts, it's just like having OnlyFans small talk about nonsense, or just nonsense people talking about use. I'm just like, what the hell is this? I don't believe it. I think we either talk about like, topics about ourselves. I know, like in the
In
past,
the past, there's been some nonsense. There's been some tomfoolery.
but I like to. But that's why I was like, I wanted to kind of establish ourselves and start getting more into the serious part of it. Because I mean, you've heard me yap a couple of times. Where like we'll be up at like 2 or 3 in the morning.
Serial yapper right here.
Yeah, couldn't get the rant though. Couldn't win the title on that one.
No.
You certified ranter.
You talking about anything.
Yeah, if I find more, since I just got to the third folder, if I start finding more substantial stuff, I'll definitely share it, link them to videos and stuff like that too. Because I'm like one of those people. I was like, I'd like the spread of information, but I don't like the spread of misinformation. Because I do hope that in the end of all this, though, I'm sure it's not going to be anytime soon. But like that there are certain people going to jail or start getting like testifying and people gain response because gain
Taking
the justice.
responsibility. There's consequences for these actions.
But the funny thing is, and I thought about this, I think one of the times I was driving past to go to work, as we passed one of the ICE facilities over there, I was like, there'll come a time where these, like, the people that supported Trump or the people that were, like, working with ICE and all them are like, oh, I never did in the first place. It just reminds me of that scene in Inglourious Basterds where they put, like, swastikas on people's foreheads, like, carved it on them. I'm like, yeah, no. Can't turn back away from it.
No, yeah, it's...
I think people forgot how to be kind.
Well, I think just how this is going on right now with this administration just brought all the racists and uneducated people out from the woodworks.
Yeah,
hatred out
because it's a little it's too much. It's too belligerent. Like the running down people in the streets, getting wrong people. That's something that's totally inexcusable. This person's a citizen and you scooped him up and deported him. Absolutely not. Mm-hmm. It's like that's how you know you're being reckless. It's like there's no true justice here. Because the process would be you find the person, all right, this is you. You come forth. We know who you are. We know where you are. Give it up, buddy. Sorry. Because at the end of the day, it's like, yeah, it was illegal. You didn't do it right. I'm sorry. But can't, like, the indiscriminate scooping up of people. Just, I don't like the cut of their jib. Grab them. Yeah,
that's the crazy thing is that, like, the videos that are coming out of, like, people saying, like, I'm getting pulled over just because of my accent or something like that, or the skin color. I'm like, that's despicable to me.
Yeah, and, like, when there's no order to this, it's like, all right, well, you just uprooted some people who, granted, weren't supposed to be here. They were still working in this community. They were still living somewhere, providing rent, providing services. All right, you've taken them out. There's a vacuum. There's a hole. What are we going to do to fill this? Because, you took them out, but you've also disrupted other people's lives at this point. How are we going to handle it?
Yeah, it's like that one kid that got used as a luring tool to the parents to come out, and they didn't come out, and so they just came the kid and put him in a detention center. They let him out finally, but like the fact that they did that, 5-year-old, he's a criminal.
Again, world is cruel to children. So cruel.
Cruel to the powerless.
Yeah,
which comes down to children. And just ain't right.
Well, I heard a thing earlier today. I was reading it, but I haven't got the sources for it, so I don't know if it's true. But I heard a couple of the ICE agents were complaining that they all signed up for a $50,000 sign-on bonus and they still haven't received it. And now they're reading the fine print of it, and they said that they have to be on a certain amount of years before they can receive it or something like that. If they don't get terminated either, I'm like, good.
Again, an administration that's throwing billions and billions of dollars towards something that could be geared towards something more important. Healthcare.
All these administrations been chalked. They haven't been putting the money where it needs to go. Bill Clinton, he may have had affairs with that woman, but he did balance the budget for a short time. Was his budget out of control?
Nixon did too, right? He kind of stabilized the economy, even though he's not remembered for it.
He did. I'd have to look.
I know very little about it, but I remembered either it was economics in college. We had to look into presidencies and such, and I think Nixon was one of the ones. I was like, oh, I didn't realize that, but like I said, very little I know.
Also, I wish just people out in public read just like watch the news from multiple outlets, not just the one Fox News.
You know, Fox News doesn't have news about Fox. Fox is.
It's just reading different news outlets, watching different viewpoints.
Yeah, no, they'll
You
give
know,
you
like at the end of the day, that's one thing. Like at least for myself, I like to look at information from different outlets. I never shy away from hearing somebody else's opinions that's different from. But it's also like, okay, we'll provide some information from where you see that. Like, you know, why is your opinion this? Can we talk about it? But some people that are so blatantly, oh no, that Alex, that was his name, right? That party. He deserved to die because he was, you know, carrying that concealed weapon. What do you mean?
that is a right that is in the law. You can do that.
That's another thing. It's just like, you know, what was it? During Trump's last presidency, or even before that, when the protesters stormed the Capitol, or the Kyle Rittenhouse came in with the assault rifle from another state, everyone was pro-gun then, Second Amendment, this and that, you know, always our God-given right. And then as soon as this happens, no, you shouldn't have guns. I'm like, man, these supporters will just like deep throat that man so hard.
It's
Whatever that he says, they're going to be like, nah, they'll even dismiss their own beliefs just to keep going with it. I'm like, they're really going to die on that hill.
there's people who were like I said, they don't want to look at the whole picture. They have their beliefs and they want to fit everything else into that, fit the reality into what they believe in. They don't want to view things for what they really are.
Just feel like people like kindness, like just being kind is lost in so many people nowadays. Like
Oh yeah.
being understanding. Like I think nowadays people are just filled with this hatred, but it's like
I mean, I'm like not kind to people either, but I'm not going out of my way to be a to everybody. It's just like, you know, I keep to myself, but like to go out there and support someone that's like, nah, you know, if you don't look like me, I don't want you here. Like that's crazy. Anyways,
Turbulent times.
turbulent.
I think we covered everything that I wanted to talk about. I did want to talk about the food prices, but we'll talk. I think we covered more serious topics than what but the food. But yeah, really quickly, the cost of food. Like last week, I went to go pick up some Whataburger after the gym because I was like, you know what, I want a cheat meal for this, and the cost of that was like almost what like $13 for a combo meal. I'm like, when did that shit get to $13?
Hey, listen, man, I remember to go to McDonald's, get a little order of cents. Now it's like up to $2, $3.
Yeah,
What happened?
like, so I pulled up some numbers here.
I also have some numbers.
Oh, which ones did you have?
So I got numbers for Big Mac from McDonald's,
Okay.
Baconator from Wendy's, and a chicken sandwich from Chick-fil-A. And I compared that to median wages, according to Department of Labor, and checked how they all grew since 2005 to 2015 into 2025.
Ooh,
Big Mac, $3.06 in 05, went to $4.47 in 15, and then $5.89 in 2025 just for the sandwich. That's a 46% growth and then a 32% growth. Wages, annual salary went from about $33,000 to $55,000, then to $62,000, which was a 66% growth, then a 12% growth. 2005 to 2015, it was pretty good. We were up and ahead of food prices. It's like, oh, Big Mac went up, no biggie. My wages went up. From 15 to 25, though, that Big Mac didn't slow down, but the wages did. They only went up 12%, not that 66%. And McDonald's is the most egregious of the. Actually, no, Wendy's ain't much better. Chick-fil-A, though, God bless them. $3 to $3.65 to $5, 21% and 37%. Chick-fil-A never let me down.
I feel like Chick-fil-A's because so the numbers that I have on Chick-fil-A, it said from 2021 a sandwich cost $3.75, $8 for a meal, and so now
That sounds right.
and now it's like $5.09 for the sandwich and
Yeah.
$9.09 for the meal. But like the Cool Wrap was one of the ones that increased, one of the healthier options. It went from so it was see, this is where the numbers I feel like are a little bit wrong because
Well, that's because the real shit's expensive. Like, I'll give them that.
because like the wrap they said was like $8 for the sandwich and then $12 for the meals, but it's saying it's still the same, like $12.29 for the meal. But I'm like, I feel like that used to be lower a few years back. Because I used to get Chick-fil-A pretty often when I lived, like when I worked at the lab
Mhm.
because it was close by. But that was one of them. But then Whataburger is significantly gone because I remember like if you go to any like burger chain, you get a combo, you're looking at $8 or $9. Like $9 is like if you got some extras like bacon, whatever else, right?
Mhm.
It's like no, now it's like if you want a combo at like a burger place, you're like spending like $10 plus.
Yeah, because I mean, just food prices, fresh food.
Inflation,
Like, because what is it? More regulation on what is in food, because the whole Taco Bell thing, they're feeding us dog food. And then they were like, all right, you can't put dog food and sand in the food. You got to make it actual food. And they were like, oh, damn, I can't sell this Crunchwrap Supreme for 99 cents anymore. Jack that price up. And so it's like, okay, that's what's coming of it. So it's like
well, they blamed like three things in particular. They said food change and food sources, so fresh foods and like beef and stuff like that.
Yep.
Then the next one was inflation, just overall inflation in the country. But then the
Yep.
last one is the minimum wage increase. And that's where I draw the line. I'm like, goes back to the whole like, CEO of the hospital things. You are already making millions of dollars on this. Like you're telling me that you're going to increase the prices of your product to meet the minimum requirements or minimum pay that these people are asking for, but you're not losing anything. You're still making that money.
Yes, they will refuse to lose money.
Yeah.
They will raise it up at the bottom so that everyone else eats the cost, because they're like, no, I'm not making a cent. I made $5 million last year. I'll be damned if I make a cent less than $5 million again. And so, prices go up. It's like, it's not eating into my stuff.
But that's why I am, because of you, Sandra, I like In-N-Out now. And that's the only fast food place I go to now. Because they kept their prices solid for this whole time. Like they've gone up maybe like a couple of cents here and there, maybe $1, but not as egregious as the other ones. Because it was one of the times we just went in there, I was looking at the prices, I was like, I've never realized this until now. I was like, yeah, no, those prices are like what I saw 5-10 years ago in other fast food. So I was like, nope, don't want any other ones. Fuck them. Ain't getting my business anymore.
I don't like In-N-Out.
I do not like their fries. In-N-Out, if anyone from In-N-Out ever watch the show, please, for the love of God, just dry your potatoes. That's all you got to do to get crispier fries. Wash it, get rid of the starch, let it dry completely, then fry it. I'm telling you, like, the fact that no one's come up with that idea is crazy to me. Like, fry the fries.
That takes up too much time. I have. They suck. Garbanzo.
Yeah, I mean, that's it.
You're consistent. Consistently bad.
Yeah, no, it's just wet potatoes that they're frying, and it's going to give it that consistency. That's why it's kind of like sandy almost. I was like, no, dude, just let that dry out, and I'm telling you, it makes a world of difference.
We just need animal style fries, man.
Be wrong, the flavoring is good. If the fries were like at peak level though, like burgers aren't bad. There's nothing wrong with the burgers. Like it's just a normal burger, so I'm not like expecting much from you. I still like the Burger King broiling thing still though, but I mean I don't feel like shit afterwards from eating In-N-Out. Yeah, no. My only complaint is the fries. But thank you so much for keeping your prices solid. Like that's my big thing. It's like I don't want to spend like an hour's worth of my time at work to just eat this. Coming from a poor man.
Just gonna hold my silence.
You're very passionate.
No, I mean it's not just about like the cost of this though. It's just like overall like the greed that I feel like no one's really paying attention to. It's like, oh yeah, no, all these people up top are making this much money, not even have to work a day in their lives. They're enjoying all these binaries in life. Now they start doing kids because they just got nothing else better to do. And we're just sitting here like scraping at the bottom.
Thoughts lost. That is got me good.
Anyways, yeah, I'll call the time on that one. What'd y'all think of the tea?
Pretty good.
No, the tea
Again,
is
this is
really
the
good.
Vanilla Tranquility by I'm gonna say the white version, Ahmed tea. I'm not gonna say it the other way because I feel like I'm gonna go to Guantanamo Bay.
Yeah, no, this is good. I liked it. It was sweet. I like it sweet.
The smell is really good. The taste was great. I think this is probably one of my favorite ones so far.
The smell was immaculate. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna lie.
I
Came to my nose. Ooh.
I was like, because I had another option for the tea, but I was like, ooh, since we kind of tried something similar to that one, we'll leave it for another podcast video. But I was like, this is a nice, like, neutral tea.
I liked it a lot.
Yeah,
It's good.
I like it. Probably one I'd keep in a normal
Rotation.
Yeah. So yeah, if you ever want to try it out, just most local places might have like, well, I think like Kroger's, Albertsons, international markets, they'll have those kinds of brands. But yeah, give it a try. But any last minute thoughts?
If anybody has different opinions, share them.
Put them in the comments.
Why not?
I know did I tell y'all the hate speech that I got on one of the compilation videos that I made?
Don't be surprised.
Yeah, I think it was the Nicolas Maduro one that I got a bunch of people saying like, oh, you're supporting like a dictator and all that. And I thought it was funny.
Oh, the dude they scooped up from Venezuela?
Uh-huh.
For another time.
For another
For another time.
All right. Well, from the Teatime podcast, cheers.
Cheers.
And we'll see you all next time.
You can reach. Cheers.